All right, so we're here.
Hey, what's up?
Who are you?
I am Dana,
Okay,
and
that's it.
and you are.
No, no. All right. I'm Sam. This is Dana. If you're here, you're obviously listening to what is titled as some sort of podcast. We don't have a name yet. Do we have a name?
I mean, we kind of like had some brief ideas, like homework podcast or something like
Yeah. Okay.
that. But
Well, yeah.
we're
You're
getting
not
back to that
selling it.
eventually.
You're not selling it. So, what's the idea of this podcast? And then maybe we'll talk about the title that is pending because of that idea.
So basically, the concept is that we give each other a game that either we've played before or haven't played before, and we have both of us play it, and then we come back and talk about it. Kind of throw people into the fire per se, and see what they say.
Yeah. Basically, yeah, sure. To reiterate what he said, one of us each week will pick a game that we have knowledge in, not necessarily we haven't played. Like, for example, I don't think either of us have played this game. I could be wrong. They'll send it to the other person with the expectation that they go in blind, and then we just talk about it. And then after that, we'll just shoot the shit. Why not? You have time to listen. We have time to talk. So because of that, because it's essentially homework, making us play each other's shitty games, because why would you pick a good game to make the other person play?
I think this is a good
Okay.
game.
It's homework anyway, regardless. So we're thinking about the homework podcast. We don't have a name yet. That's probably the name. I can't think of any better names. I don't think Dana can either.
No, we'll think about it at some point, but that's probably gonna be it.
Also, the perfect opportunity to use Soldier Boy report card as the theme of the podcast. The best song ever made.
I take out my report card.
Like, just
Just like ear blasted version. So
yeah. So it's gained out. People immediately leave. No one has to hear us embarrass ourselves on this podcast.
I take out my report card.
That sounds good to me. Let's get into this game though. The game I sent you this week. I'll try to butcher the Japanese. The Solomon no Kagi 2 Cool Mento Kuyuhutsu Sakusen, also known as Solomon's Key 2, also known as the American game Fire and Ice.
I didn't actually try to pronounce the Japanese title, but you just did. Did it talk about Mentos at all? Cool Mentos?
Yeah, I don't know what the hell that is. I imagine there's like some like second part, like Legend of the Hero or something like that. I didn't really look in to see what that meant, but
Cool Mentos are pretty dope, but I think that the best flavor are like the fruit Mentos. With that, I will say that Solomon Key, I have not played as many SNES games as you would expect, or not SNES, NES games as you would expect.
yeah.
It was dope. Like compared to the so the thing is, so before we get into this, I want to say that we had a previous podcast and it went horribly because I gave Dana a game that literally was extremely convoluted. It's called Jamis. It's a Japanese game that there's no English translation. It's only Japanese and it has the most convoluted mechanics of all time. Basically we tried to talk about it. It's like you gave me this game that's in Japanese with no explanation.
I spent like 2 hours playing it. I got to like level 8. I just had no idea how to play it.
Yeah, so like instead of doing that, which I thought was a funny idea, but it ended up not being good for podcast, he sent me a game that like I could legitimately play, and it was actually pretty dope. It's called Solomon's Key, Fire and Ice. I just looked up the name before this podcast. I was playing it earlier today. I'm like, I got about 40% through the game. Solomon's Key is a puzzle game that requires you to essentially kill this fire with ice blocks.
Yeah,
it's fire and
you
ice.
push blocks into it. Yeah, that's where the moniker Fire and Ice comes from.
I'm not generally a puzzle gamer. Like I'll play Sudoku from time to time on my phone, but like
Puzzle Fighter.
Yeah, well that's a little different. But like straight up puzzle games where like you have to solve a puzzle to get to the next stage and all the stages are puzzles. I generally get bored of them after like a couple puzzles. This one was actually able to keep my fancy just because this is probably some of the best graphics I've ever seen on a NES game. Like
I was about to say, like the sprite work in this is fantastic. Like the colors, it's like bright, it's vibrant. Like the animations are even good. Like when he's jumping up and down and stuff. Like
Like you're definitely seeing this game by the fact that I'm a great editor and you're seeing this game on the screen. But like you could agree with me that like this game is captivating to watch. I was very surprised on like the sound was just like whatever generic, but like I was like actually way more than other NES games. Like other NES games are just like you like fall like you go like to the right and there's like pew! And then like the game's game over. You have no idea what's going on. This game like actually had a cohesive.
Like, you could stay in playing it. My thing with most NES games is that you play most NES games for 8 to 15 minutes and then move on to the next one. This is something you can, like, play through, and it's, like, a full, like, experience where each level is, like, interesting, has different mechanics. Like, the new worlds have different mechanics. I will say the difficulty ramps up unbelievably so in some points.
So, yeah, I'll say that. So, I played for about 2 hours, got halfway through. I got to the boss of so this game has I think 9 worlds and each one has about 10 levels, so 90 puzzles. I played this for about 2 hours. I got halfway through, so I got to the boss of level 5. Each level has 10 puzzles in it. Each 10th puzzle is like a they do some switched up stuff. Like sometimes there's like a timed thing where like there's fire rising, and you'll see this.
I did like there was kind of like a sort of like a boss stage, like you said, and you know some of them had different strategies and stuff like that. I also liked how a lot of the levels you could do multiple ways. Some of them I think you could only do one way, but I feel like some of the mechanics could differ from like level to level. I will say level 3-6 was hard as fuck.
I'll put that on the screen, but I can't think of that right now. I remember the ones that were hardest were the ones with like the tiniest screen. It's just like there's like 3 moves you could make, and somehow they make it so that puzzle takes you like 20 minutes.
So 3-6 was the one, if you remember it, there was 3 blocks stacked on top of each other, and the fire was on top of the 3rd block. And that was all the stage was, and then there was kind of like a platform from like the left.
Oh, right. I remember that.
That one took me a little bit to like go back and forth. One thing I will say I do not like about the game, or not to say I don't like, but the level variance in difficulty is very apparent from some levels. Like some parents are incredibly difficult, to others you're just like 2 seconds go.
Yeah, exactly. Like you mentioned a difficulty spike, but I didn't notice the difficulty spike over time. I mean, I did a little bit, but it was more like the entire world 1, for example, was easy, except for
like
1-7 sucked dick.
It was so hard.
I don't get it. Like I was just like, okay, I think I get this game. It's like, what the fuck's happening? So I had an issue because you gave me the goddamn Japanese version of this game when it had a US version. God damn you, first of all. I know you did this because you wanted to make my life harder, but like the amount of times I accidentally restarted due to the fact that like the menu's in Japanese and I didn't know what I was doing. It was like I lost like probably like 20 minutes of my life just like fucking restarting these levels. I was pissed. So thank you for that, by the way.
Well, my controller didn't work, and I had to get a different way to play the game, but it looks like it has like a brief like RPG element about it.
I thought it was an RPG when the start, like, cause like the menu is like, oh, we're going into this like fantasy land, and then it's like
there's like strobe demon, like
and then it starts you out like you're in dialogue with like your like 2 grandkids talking to this old lady. And I was like, what the hell's happening right now? Like I guess I like accidentally saved my game. Like I literally have no idea what's going on. Like and then I went to the edit mode by accidentally, which is pretty cool.
Mode? I didn't even into that.
Yeah. If you go to like the 2 children talking to the granny,
I only did the
bottom option is edit mode. There's the fucking puzzle editor. Like you could actually make your own levels, which is dope. That's like you don't see that in a lot of NES games.
No. Well, that's like I think there's a lot of games like this in the NES library that just kind of go under the radar, end up being like fully fleshed experience. I think there's so many people out there that would love a lot of the NES library, and like to me this is a top 10 NES game, like as far as like you said, the graphics, like the gameplay.
I mean, I want to say better than upper half, because upper half of NES games is like your game doesn't play like dog shit. Yeah. But like it's definitely it's I haven't played enough NES games to really rate it. I feel like it'd be unfair for me to rate it.
Yeah.
At the same time, I think that this is one of the better NES games I've played. It reminds me a lot of Solstice, if you ever played that.
The name rings a bell. I haven't though.
It has like the best NES music of all time.
Oh yeah. We'll definitely play some more NES games. The one thing I thought about this game though, like I feel like you could just literally just copy the game exactly like in a cell phone game with modern graphics and sell it for $1 and it would sell because the gameplay is so fun.
That's saying a lot considering like asking people to pay money on the cell phone for on the cell phone. I'm fucking 80 years old. On like you go to your app store and like you're like, this game's $1. Your coffee was $4. It's like, I will never pay you this $1.
I feel like
my
people
entire
would play
life.
it though because
Yeah.
like the mechanics are very very fun. Like you could just copy the game one for one probably. I don't even know how copyright laws work for 30-year-old games, but
I'll minorly revise it. You could sell this game for free and then sell hints for $1 each. There you go.
did you notice how the first option was go back a movement?
Oh, that
when
is
you
actually
start-
dope. Like I was like 30 moves deep, and I hit back until like I hit the beginning. The ability to undo in this game is actually so nice. I mentioned like accidentally like restarting the level. That's because I didn't realize like I kept confusing which one was undo and restart. Yeah, you make a mistake, usually like, oh, you have to just restart the level. First of all, that would suck in this game just due to the fact that like there's a lot of cutscenes. It's a pretty cutscene heavy game, and like the movement itself, each one has like a special animation because like they want to make the game like actually look and feel good.
Yeah.
But if you had to restart each level, it'd be a huge pain just due to the fact that like the game itself it's too flashy for its own good. Like everything takes
definitely.
about a second to do. But they introduced the feature that like it's pretty genius. Like they have a rewind feature. Like you could literally be making a move, press pause, and like it'll like
just go back and move.
Yeah, no, but like it's not even that they go back and move. It's seamless. Like they straight up like show the move going backwards. It's like it's kind of like if you ever played Braid, the time travel effect.
I have not, no.
Okay, well, great podcast. How dare you?
So yeah, no, it just kind of goes to show that like even back then, good game design just holds up. It's just like simple mechanics, ease of use. Yeah, I feel like Ego Raptor could do an episode about like how like the developers did everything right about this game, in my opinion. On a side note, I have a little bit of background with this game. I actually own this game personally, the American version, Fire and Ice. Remember a couple years back, I was really into retro collecting. You were as well. We were always going back and forth saying like, oh, I found this on Craigslist, or I found this at so and so and stuff like that. I'm not sure if you remember, I got that one huge lot for like $100. Like someone posted on Craigslist, oh, I'm getting rid of I was getting rid of my college son's stuff. Who wants it? And it was like a whole like there was no list of anything. It was just like a picture of like NES games, whole bunch of like controllers, PS1 games, stuff like that. I messaged him. She got back to me. I like left work early to go get it. Yeah, it was almost like $400 in games, and she said like 30 people messaged her. I was just the one she messaged back. This was actually in there. I didn't play it forever, and then our mutual friend one day was like, "What the hell is this?" We put it in, and we ended up playing it for like 2 days straight. Like this game is, I love this game. It's definitely like it's just a good one, and I feel like it would actually be fun to speedrun.
I completely disagree. So for those who don't know, I'm a speedrunner. That's basically my bread and butter. The issue with this game is that it's too linear. I would say exact is a good word too, but it's like once you know the solution, you literally have to just do the same thing each and every time. And yes, I play games like platformers where like it's basically the same execution all the time, but this game requires a little bit less precise execution from move to move.
Well,
and
I
I
just
think that
feel like
this,
it's like left, right, B, A, left, up, move, left, right, A, B, and that's the level's over. It's like that's like you
it
get down to
basically
that
requires
level.
memorization of 90 levels, and yeah, speedrunning's memorization for some part, but like it's a little, I would say there's a lot less skill in this, so I would disagree that this is a good speedrun. I think you don't see puzzle game speedruns because of the fact that like once you know the puzzle, it's really not that complicated. There might be glitches in this game, but I wouldn't know if they're discovered, nor would I think that they really have an impact on the speedrun. And even if they did,
I'm actually curious to see what kind of community this game has, if any.
all right, let's look it up. We have modern technology. I mean, even if they did know the like glitches, I feel like each level will be exploitable in the same way, and therefore,
Yeah, just search Fire and Ice. Oh, apparently there is.
Sonic Boom, Fire and Ice. No.
Apparently there are 3 runs for it. There's a hour and 2 minutes, hour and 3 minutes, an hour and 55 minutes. They have a forum.
Interesting.
They talk a little bit about the game.
Yeah, I mean, like, you actually just generally don't see speedruns of puzzle games that often. Like, the literal, longest held world record for NES was The Adventures of Lolo 3, which is a similar game. It's like a game with like 100 puzzles where you have to solve the puzzles. The record held for 17 years.
Jesus Christ, because like you could only like optimize your movements so much, right?
Yeah, it's just like, oh, you know how to solve this puzzle? Just there you go. I mean, like, and there is some skill in memorizing 100 puzzles, but at the same time, it's, I don't know,
Well,
it's memorizing a puzzle 100 times. Like,
for me, as someone that doesn't really speedrun, like the fun would be getting to that point, and then you're just like, all right, that's it. Like I've gotten the run. Like, and then you're just like kind of bored. I guess for me, it just sounds like it'd be fun, like learning, not actually like it's not something you speedrun. You just kind of learn it and then do your run, and then that's it. Kind of. It sounds like. But,
all right. Well, I have a little bit of a, what's the word for it? A transition here.
Okay.
I am sending you an image right now. Let me know what you think.
Okay. Oh, guys, this is like one of those terrible like ad games you see.
So I have a question to you about the American Dad apocalypse, because it's apparently soon. Like straight up, they're just saying American Dad apocalypse soon. It's soon.
Party's on fire. Wait, that doesn't like
the soon is not capitalized.
So I feel like these games are just like.
This is not a game.
It's not.
No. It's not a game. It's telling you that the American Dad apocalypse is soon. That is, man. That's soon is not capitalized. The soon is not capitalized. This is just saying it's happening. Okay, it's not a title. Okay, so the American Dad apocalypse is happening soon.
So how am I supposed to prepare for this? And it also says Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja.
No, that's not part of this. That's not part of this. I should have cropped the image, but I didn't.
Yeah, good job, Boomer.
You're the boomer. You're 85 years old.
This is true. No, like this is just like those stupid, fucking horrible game ads you see. Do you ever see like those Facebook ones? They're like the people getting ripped apart, or like.
Well, it's the one where you fucking put the key and it's like the lava gets the guy. I'm not pissed because the game is shit. I'm pissed because the person's so idiotic.
So that's not actually the game. When you
I know, I understand it's not the game. Like,
okay,
there's
I want to play that game. Someone like if you read
there's
the comments,
7 layers.
All the comments are like, "Oh, I want to play this game," and no, like someone just needs to make that game, and they'll be a billionaire.
But regardless, I'm not talking about games right now. I'm talking about the American Dad apocalypse, which is happening soon.
Well, I gotta prepare for it. How do I prepare?
I don't know. You tap an alien on a treadmill. I don't know.
He's like, I'm gonna play this game. This is the game we're gonna play next week. This is the game you're gonna send me. Okay. Okay, come on. Do you ever consume content for a game or show or anything that you have like no stake in or haven't like seen or played in a while? For example, is there like a game you used to play a long time ago but like still work?
I think that yes. I mean, like most speedruns I watch, I don't play Pokemon the 1,000-Year Door anymore.
Yeah.
Because I'm an idiot and apparently said Pokemon the 1,000-Year Door. Jesus Christ. I don't play Paper Mario the 1,000-Year Door anymore. Or like most of the speedruns I watch.
But like if like a video came up that was like really well, like a Summoning Salt video or something like that, you'd probably sit down for 45 minutes and watch it, right?
Depends what the moral compass of the YouTuber is. Why are there so many people? Jesus Christ. I just want to watch a video. I don't want to like go through a minefield. But anyway, yes, I will watch someone talk about Paper Mario the 1,000-Year Door.
That concept for me is like RuneScape videos. I haven't played RuneScape in like 3 years, but some of the YouTube RuneScape content is some of literally the best content on YouTube. It is fantastic. It is super interesting.
Who's that guy that like stays on Noob Island forever?
No, you mean Swampletics?
Swampletics. Okay, there's
Dude,
the same.
He stays in the Mortania swamp, and he is a god.
So
I actually bought his T-shirt.
Wow, what a loser. Like, I don't know. I'm saying this ironically. I hope people realize. So you and I both played MapleStory. Who are the people who played in like Noob? Well, it was like literally called Noob Island, right? Not insane.
Perma beginners or Islanders.
There we go. It's people who.
Yeah, those are the people that stayed on the beginner island, Maple Island in Maple Story.
Yeah, so Swampletics.
Yeah, exactly.
Swampletics, but in a better.
Swampletics doesn't stay on Noob Island because you actually can't stay on Noob Island and like level up. You can only get to like level 5 and then you can't do anything. His whole concept is he went to a certain zone of the game that is a swamp, and he just stayed there and tries to do the hardest content there through very convoluted and like 1,000-hour grinds to get a bucket type shit.
So you're saying he's a fraud because he doesn't stay on Noob Island?
Well, that's not his. It's swamp. His swamp is literally in his name.
You're a swamp.
Yeah, I know. My life's a swamp. Get out of my swamp. This is my swamp.
Let's talk about another topic here. Very important. The whole thing, we talked about this. This is our second podcast ever. We try a first podcast, and then it's not up right now. If you're listening to this, it's almost definitely the first podcast you've listened to.
We'll let our other one out, maybe 10 episodes in, so you can get a taste of how awful it was.
Maybe 85. It's not because of the fact that it sucked major penis, for a technical word. It's because Dana didn't send me the link. He sent me a incorrect link.
Oh, I didn't send you it?
No, you sent me the link with the encryption or whatever.
And then I sent you a link with the unencrypted.
Yeah, but it was like a day later. It was too late. This would normally not be a big deal, but I made a joke that said I had to bring this up on the podcast because wait, no, sorry. Let me
Use your words.
Yeah, I'll use my words. Gonna bring this up on the pod because the pod is the cool way to say the podcast.
I don't think anyone
so I have to
calls
sound
it the
cool.
pod.
Yo, you listened to the pod this weekend?
Like that physically makes me cringe. No. So here's the thing.
We're on the pod right now.
Here's the thing. When I went to Mega Upload, it said link with encryption or link without encryption, and I was like, oh, without encryption, I don't want this to be encrypted. So that's what I sent you, and then it was like, oh, well, it doesn't have a key. That's what it meant instead of.
Here's the thing. This is the most boring conversation we could talking about Mega Upload encryption settings. No, I'm just
listen. We're coming to how I'm a fucking dumbass. Okay, that's all you gotta say.
Speaking of dumbass, we're both dumbasses. Want to know why? I looked up podcasts, and you would think that in this Corona boom of entertainment,
yeah,
people are just listening to more podcasts, right?
Yeah. Are people actually listening to less podcasts?
So apparently, podcasts are straight up dying right now.
Well, what I imagine a lot of that, for me, I like listening to podcasts when I'm driving. It's my favorite thing to do. Straight up, a couple of podcasts I listen to, I just started driving around at night, bored.
Yeah, why don't
just
so
listen to my podcast?
So we gotta beg people to keep doing that because apparently that's actually what's killing podcasts. The fact that no one's doing stuff while listening anymore. They're all just home.
Well, is it a bad thing? If I'm just in my car driving around, I'm not interacting with anybody, just listening to shit.
No, why don't people do that? Actually, people are always
I love
driving I'm cooped up in my house from quarantine. Just go outside.
Yeah, I mean, it's I have the windows up and stuff because it's a little bit cold, but it's gas is unbelievably cheap. I can fill up my entire tank for $20.
Just listen to our podcast.
Exactly.
No big deal.
For 25 minutes or so, and then...
Yeah, just listen to this one. Don't listen to the one on Jamis.
Do not listen to the Jamis. We're gonna actually have a reprisal episode of that.
Yeah, well, in about 2025.
Yeah.
When we look, each of us in our own mansion because of that podcast money, all that podcast money, all those famous people who weren't already famous and started podcasts, and then they became famous from the podcast.
100% of popular podcasts are only popular because they had other content that made their popular. So
yeah. Okay. So because I'm a tool. I have talking points. That's one. I wanted to have a good one. I listened to because I wanted I'm a try hard, and you and I both made a podcast, and I was like, "Wow, this sucked. Can we make this better?" So I listened to a bunch of podcasts. I listened to the Mega 64 podcast. I listened to the new. It's a good podcast. I listened to Sopranos podcast, some H3H3. I know you're not a huge fan. I listened to one other one. I think I listened to Chris Cast with streamer Chris Marks.
Well,
I guess he's not a streamer anymore.
Topics, and I think the biggest thing is they know when to cut off a topic and move on to the next one.
Yeah, we don't know any of that shit. But the thing I realized, first and foremost, including the topics, is that they were all fucking famous. So why aren't we famous yet? We don't have Mega 64. They answered emails at the begining. I'm listening to 1 through 5 of the Mega 64 podcast.
Oh,
They're like,
you went all the way back.
I went all the way back. I was like 2006. I was like, what are they doing at the beginning? And like they're answering. They're already famous in 2006, and they're just like answering
Well, I
emails.
mean, they
and
were
like
OG internet people.
Yeah, and The Sopranos. They're talking about The Sopranos. What do we? We didn't make The Sopranos. Come on. Why didn't we make The Sopranos?
Not with that attitude.
So we talked about American Dad Revolution. Why aren't we talking about what made us famous?
So, I play World of Warcraft and live with my mom. That's not enough of a qualification to make me famous yet. I'm working on it though.
Yeah.
This is probably a good place to cut it off though.
No, absolutely not. We're gonna let's keep talking about you and your mom and living at home.
Listen, she got me some tendies, and I got some good boy points, and yeah.